Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Zach Bussewitz, who's here to share with us his new book, Awaken Now Humanity, The Great Reveal. What future will we choose? So what if the chaos we see in the world today is actually part of a spiritual awakening? One designed to guide humanity out of fear and into love. Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Zach Bussewitz is a devoted father, nature lover, and spiritual truth seeker of over 23 years. His work explores timeless spiritual themes of unity, love, and awakening. Zach is the founder of Awaken Now Humanity, a growing community and platform for collective spiritual insight. His book, Awaken Now Humanity, The Great Reveal, unveils a big picture perspective on humanity's past, present, and future, inviting readers to remember their soul's true nature. Heart, mind, enlightened love, and live with greater purpose, harmony, and awareness. So welcome to the show, Zach Bussewitz.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm delighted to be here. Really thankful, honored and overjoyed to be here with you and your audience today.
Well, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about not just this book, but the work that you do. But let's start with the book. So what inspired you to write this?
Well, I've been a spiritual truth seeker for a little over 23 years. And a couple of years ago, I had an idea and intuition, kind of gathering all the information that I perceived over these years of, wait a minute, someone needs to write a big picture perspective book with a spiritual understanding of everything that's transpiring right now for Earth and humanity. I'm also I would say a solution-minded person. So along with that inspiration was also the concept of, and we need to include enlightening solutions for what's going on and be able to help and change the earth.
Well, we can use a lot of that right now. And why do you believe these messages are so important, especially for today?
Yeah, for today, well, I truly feel that there is something happening or transpiring on earth right now that every single one of us is kind of beginning to feel, sense, or even awaken to. And I'm kind of hoping that, today and through this book, Awaken Now Humanity, we can illuminate more light, compassion, and understanding for us all upon, I guess, the bigger picture that is transpiring within the collective of humanity upon Earth.
You speak of the great reveal. What is being revealed to humanity right now?
That's a great question, Marianne. What is being revealed to humanity right now is higher love. And when I say that, I mean higher love, that what we truly are at the core of our beings on the soul level is we are higher love. And that is being revealed. Whether you want to look at some of the chaos or destruction or falling apart, or whether you want to look at all the new and brilliant and beautiful, loving ideas and people who are coming together to create a better world, I think the reveal is that both of sides of the coin are inspiring us towards what is a higher love.
So when you talk about a higher love, what does that look like?
Well, to me, what I believe higher love, you can envision that as God, spirit, source, all that is divine intelligence. But ultimately, to me, higher love is a virtuous love. It's something where there's no judgment in this, and it's not a hierarchical love. It's just an underlying love that's always there.
In your book, you talk about the heart-mind enlightenment. Can you share with us what that is?
Yeah, heart mind enlightenment. It's a big topic. I guess I'll go from the top down, and let's say different ascended masters such as Gautama Buddha, Yeshua Christ, Ascended Master Kuan Yin. They were all teaching from different perspectives of what I call heart mind love or heart mind enlightenment. Now, bringing it into our everyday world now, we have different teachers such as Joe Dispenza, many different modern gurus. Paramahansa Yogananda comes to mind. But in the end, we, each are individual, have the ability to tap into what's already within us from our heart mind. And that is that our hearts, what these teachers are trying to teach us as well, as our hearts and love is the primary consciousness that truly affects or changes the world we live in.
Thank you for taking the time to share that. And another question I have is, how is this different from traditional ideas of spiritual awakening?
That's a great question. That's something that I definitely came to in this entire process of writing about enlightenment and understanding that there really needs to be a discernment between some concepts of enlightenment, what was enlightenment, and the concept of heart mind enlightenment. The concept of heart mind enlightenment focuses on love. So without love, I believe there are different beings or different teachers who somehow, throughout the course of time, have taken the enlightenment to different levels of, we can say, mind or brain, or an elevation that is somehow above other people's or other beings' consciousness. Whereas with heart mind enlightenment, we're definitely talking about the greater capacity to love. And I'll say this, so with the word awakening, we can also liken that akin to ascension, which is also akin to enlightenment. And I think all these things, awakening, ascension, and enlightenment, if we look at them from a bigger perspective, they're all the eternal journey for the expansion of our soul capacity to actually be in higher love.
I love that. I love how that all comes together. And one of the things I really appreciate about your book is this contrast with true enlightenment and anti-enlightenment. And I was really kind of floored that there was a term I had not heard really before. Can you share the differences between the two?
Yeah, I'd like to share that with you. When I first started writing the book, I was definitely looking at those two topics of enlightenment or anti-enlightenment, or heart-mind enlightenment versus anti-enlightenment from the traditional good and evil perspective. And as I progressed along my learning, I came to the understanding of wait a minute, it's not per se good or evil, positive or negative. It's more of a consciousness or a state of mind. So when we take the heart mind enlightenment, that's a state of heart mind, that's a state of loving consciousness, whereas a state of anti enlightened would be the opposite of that. It's like, wait a minute, there's things that are going on upon this earth that are not streaming or stemming from the heart or from a higher love, even though they may look on the outside as if they're brilliant things that are transpiring. When we discern down to the core of their nature, we find that no, there are many things that are quote unquote anti-enlightened versus the enlightenment of the heart.
It's so important to be able to get to a place where we can really discern that. What would be some examples of anti-enlightenment? What would that look like today?
From my understanding, let's take a topic such as war that's coming to mind. Now, from a heart mind enlightened solution, you would think there would be a way through higher love or through virtuous understanding that we as a collective or even one relationship to another would be able to transcend, I guess you call that the lower consciousness, which with the example is war. We'd be able to transcend that via the virtues and reach some kind of peaceful, loving, mutual, benevolent outcome or decision within one another. Now, the anti-enlightened, on the other end, does stem from, I would call it, either ignorance or anti-virtuous thinking. It's basically there's lack of love, there's lack of understanding, there's lack of compassion, there's lack of even a balance in an anti-enlightened nature.
So, how can we step into our true enlightenment?
It's happening every day. And I'm going to circle back to that. What I originally said about awakening, ascension, and enlightenment is that it truly is an eternal journey of raising and blooming of expansion within higher love. It's an ever expanding, I guess, flowering or blossoming of our presence. So how we step into that, it's an eternal journey of the soul. At the same time, every moment of every day is a moment where you can step into your heart and either consciously choose higher ways of love or virtuous love, or you can choose going in a different direction.
And to dovetail with that, your book talks about what future will we choose? What are the
Oh,
choices before humanity at this moment?
beautiful question, Marianne. As far as the choices, from my understanding, everything in this world that we're experiencing is a free will choice experiment or a free will choice of living. So within our everyday moments, we're literally creating not only our internal worlds, but also the external worlds we see. So what future would we choose? It's an everyday moment of choosing, individually, collectively, and hopefully heart, mind, and light and consciously towards a better future for humanity and all of Earth.
Really need to be in a
Yeah.
better place for all of humanity because there's so much struggle going on right now.
Oh, there is. There is. I mean, this is where the virtues we really have to lean on them. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the transformation is occurring. For each individual, it's going to be unique because everybody is going through something on some level. It's like, welcome to the school of Earth. We're here for a reason as souls to grow, to learn, yes, to have plenty of joy along the way. I mean, yeah, count it all as joy for sure. But that's tough to do when we're going through all these different struggles. I think compassion, empathy, and understanding really, through the heart does create a bridge. If we can understand someone else and have compassion for them as well as empathy, I think that's a great place to start.
So, how can people really get to this place of discernment when it comes to what is spiritually true versus what is misleading and fear based?
I think this comes down to really starting to be able to feel inside your heart, feel inside your gut, feel inside, in the end, is your soul. What feels true to you? What feels true to me? If you want to discern further after that, you can discern it through, well, what feels true according to my new virtuous or heart mind understanding of the world? Does that ring true? Does what I'm doing ring true? Is what I'm seeing on the news, does that feel what are these pictures I'm seeing? Does that feel right to me? Does that feel like that's something we should be putting our energy into? Or contrarily, does it feel like something, no, I have something more loving inside of me. I'm going to follow that path.
Love how this practice invites us to follow our inner compass and take each situation moment by moment.
I agree. Everything is definitely in our eternal moments. Another thing too, it's like everything is happening. We need to understand too that everything is happening for us. It's a tough one to grasp or to trust in when bad things are happening in the world. But on a higher, more loving soul perspective, like it's what we came here for. We came here for hard lessons so that we could ultimately bloom into that, beautiful rose that we're meant to be. But everything is changing within us. It's for our expansion and higher love.
Do you ever have people ask you, like, okay, well, why would I sign up for something this difficult? Or I'm pretty sure I wouldn't sign up for a life that had this much challenge.
That's a great question that I think each and every one of us have battled on, at some point in our lives, the why me question. And it is difficult to comprehend on a small level or on an individual level. It's tough to see in the bigger picture that you are a soul that's part of a larger soul that's even connected to God, source, spirit. And knowing that you might be learning lessons that will eventually challenge you to grow, challenge you to bloom, challenge you to thrive. This is kind of where I come back to the virtues again. It's like, some people may be learning the lessons of compassion. Some people may be learning the lessons of simply getting off the couch and ambition. Some people may be learning courage. Some people may be learning trust. And it's really such a unique array of what are we learning? What are we here for as souls? And hopefully when you can look at it from that perspective, you can start doing some of the knowing thyself, looking within to see why you're here on earth going through these things. Ultimately, you have to have compassion for yourself as well, self-love during this process, because without that, you might and forgive yourself as well and others.
I'd like to touch on something you referenced earlier, and it's multiple spiritual practices. What unites all of these teachings?
Again, I keep on coming back to it, and the theme of the book is definitely, just the topic of higher love. But within that higher love, I believe that there was a balance among how they spoke about virtues or even virtue consciousness. In Christianity, they talk about virtue versus sin. In Buddhism, they talk about virtue versus ignorance. In Taoism, they're talking about the balances of everything, between the positive and the negative, the masculine and the feminine. So what it comes down to is, I think what unites them all is the understanding that there is a higher love or a virtuous higher love. And that virtuous higher love is what ultimately takes us out of separation and into unity. And it kind of takes us out of the darkness and into the light, and even out of fear and into higher love.
For some people, unity might be a very tough theme for them to digest because we're so just divided in many ways as a culture. Why is unity such a central theme in your work, and how do you see it moving humanity forward?
Yeah, unity is a central theme in my work. One, I believe in the perspective that I guess the question I ask often is like, what is the color of a soul? So from that perspective, and knowing that we all, understanding, at least from my perspective, that we all come from, God, source, spirit, and we're all together here for a reason. The unity within that is the reason. Can we do this as a one humanity? What will it take? Yeshua Christ speaks of the unity of mind. Buddha has his own sayings on unity as well. But when you start seeing it's not just humanity, it's also unity with one another, unity with earth, unity with the plants and animals. There's a balanced and more compassionate, more beautiful way of living when that unity can be comprehended, understood amongst one another from a loving perspective.
I love that. What a great way to look at life in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really helped me out. Like, I've been through multiple different careers, different life paths in my life, diverse and unique. And each one of them, I've gathered these little aspects of unity consciousness without realizing it along the way. Of course, until I was writing the book, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, viewing people in the world and, our earth, and from that perspective, it really does help develop a fabric or web of more unified love.
What would you say is the biggest change we can make as a humanity to awaken?
The biggest change we can make as a collective humanity to awaken out of compassion for one another. But what's coming to mind right now is trust. Trust that all of this, every single person, every single happening, every single experience, every single relationship, all of the events upon and within Earth are happening for a reason. And that reason is for awakening us into higher love.
How does reconnecting with nature tie in to supporting our journey to higher consciousness?
Yeah, connecting with nature, I think it's at our very root level, or at our core level of our hearts and minds. It's the very first thing we ever connected with as being humans. Mother Earth, I really do feel that she does carry that mother energy. So connecting with nature is like connecting with the mother. It's something she's never going to let you down. She's always giving. She's there to teach you. She's balancing. She's there to express her beauty with you. It's a never ending balance of giving and receiving, just spending time in nature. When you can breathe with her or breathe nature in, you start to feel and experience, like you mentioned before, the connection. And I do feel like that connection is a big part of what's missing now in our world today. I'm glad and inspired that more and more people are starting to spend more time in nature and definitely give compassionate environmental acts. But at the same time too, it's the original communion with Mother Earth. It's like without whatever God, source, spirit, and without Mother Earth, the existence of humanity in itself wouldn't be We wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be balanced and connected to who we're really meant to be.
So, with that in mind, what role does media, technology, and modern culture play in our spiritual evolution or distraction from it?
That is a wide array, large path to go down. I can give some examples. So the news anchor Tom Brokaw once said he's not a newscaster. He specifically said he's an opinion molder. And I kind of took that to heart. I was like, wait a minute, that means something. If he's saying that, and we view him as a newscaster, but he's saying he's an opinion molder, it's like, then what's being said on the news is more of somebody's opinion, which is then being broadcast to society for a molding perspective. Deeper into the question, we can ask then, well, who owns the media? What opinions are being broadcasted for what molding or shaping purposes across humanity or across societies, across countries, across politics, across, and so on and so forth. Most often we come to find that there is a division consciousness or a separation consciousness that's being broadcasted out there to spark people's hearts and minds to be divided amongst one another, whether that be out of hate, whether that be out of pride, whether that be out of the entertainment industry. We can go into lust, we can go into all the different ignorance or sin consciousness. But a lot of the media has truly shaped this current world we live in. So we're definitely being called to discern the media with new hearts and new eyes and seeing it as such. That yes, there's a possibility. And I'm not saying that all news is bad. Things happen on earth that need to be shared. Things happen with our fellow brothers and sisters in humanity that do need to be shared and expressed. At the same time, I'll just roll back to there is and there are molding, shaping, and even agendas that normally contribute to an underlying state of separation or fear consciousness.
In your book and the work that you do, you emphasize the importance of living virtuously. What is a practical way that people can do that on a daily basis?
Practical way for living virtuously. This is a tough one because it requires presence. It requires getting to know yourself. But on a daily basis, I would say breathing. So between your conversations, between your relationships, between what you're experiencing in the news or within your family, in those pauses, take the time and think, is this flowing or transpiring in a way that's of higher love or of virtues? Is it, does it pass the virtue test? Is it loving? Is it compassionate? Is there forgiveness needed here? Is there ambition needed here? Is there even discipline's even a virtue? My favorite of all is humor is the most hilarious of virtue, which we need to use often. There's a time and a place for everything, but throughout our everyday lives, just pause, breathe, and check in. Like, is there a different way that I could be perceiving or feeling or reacting to whatever situation is in your life?
What tip or final thought would you like to leave for our listeners today?
That's a deep question. And I'd like to say trust right now during these times. Trust that everything is happening for a reason. Everything in your life is happening for you, for your greater expansion, greater blossoming, greater flowering into higher love. And accept that too. Accept yourself in these moments. That it's okay to go through whatever you're feeling, because we are going to be feeling a lot more right now. And that's kind of the point of this awakening or ascension time that we're in. Along with that, I'd like to further say, be true to yourself. Really, 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 now in these times going forward, follow your heart more than ever. I know that's a cliche, but we have an inner knowing and intuition and really do have a higher heart understanding within us. And we're being called right now to come back to that more than ever.
Well, Zach, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about not just the work you're doing and how people can get this just soul support, but also your book, Awaken Now Humanity?
Yeah, thanks, Marianne. The book, Awaken Now Humanity, The Great Reveal, What Future Will We Choose, is on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. I do have a Facebook page, Instagram, and I will be starting a YouTube channel this summer, kind of expanding on the topics that are in the book, Awaken Now Humanity.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne. This has been wonderful.
Well, thank you, Zach. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Awaken Now Humanity, The Great Reveal. What future will we choose? Make sure to connect with Zach on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Awaken Now Humanity. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.